Street Fighter 6 has been out for 2 years. Additional content has added 8 characters with 4 more on the way. Updates have added brand new techniques. Patches bring with them changes to the fundamental systems. Yet competitively, Street Fighter 6 feels like it hasn't changed at all. At least that's what the popular sentiment around the game would have you believe. Lamented by the fan base, pro players, and content creators, you still see dominant techniques everywhere. It feels like those techniques, among them throw loops, raw drive rush, random perfect parries, are utilized in every high-level match. Unfair strike throw mix-ups are forced upon every single knockdown, and cheap-feeling BS is present even at the highest levels of gameplay. With a cursory glance, the game hasn't changed. But is that the reality of the situation? I poured through data from the top 8s of both CEO 2024 and 2025 to find out if the game has actually stayed the same, if it's changed in some massive way, or if the changes are seemingly marginal in ways that we haven't fully grasped the impact of. The results surprised me. I want to look at and analyze 3 aspects of Street Fighter 6 to determine the level of change, using the back-to-back CEO top 8s as an analog. Those 3 aspects are character choice, drive system use, and perhaps the most universally despised of the 3, throw loops. Through analysis of these 3 areas, I hope to offer a clearer picture of the actual changes over time in the fighting game that dominates most of the conversation in the FGC. Really quick before we get into it, it took a lot of time to go through these tournaments, and if you rock with these kind of videos, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. It goes a long way to get my content into the feeds of the right audience, so thank you in advance. Let's get into it. First, character choice. CEO 2024 featured 8 unique characters: Manon, Cammy, JP, Juri, Guile, Luke, Akuma, and Ken. In some ways, it bucks against the consensus of character balance in Season 2. Manon has always been considered low tier. IDOM has stuck with her through thick and thin. And Luke's most powerful tools had been gutted in the May 2024 balance patch, but given CEO's tendency to occur right before big changes, most players hadn't made any big changes to their character choice prior. NL switched between Luke and Akuma, and Noah the Prodigy has stuck with Luke even through multiple nerfs. Compare that with CEO 2025, which featured 9 unique characters: Mai, Bison, Cammy, Akuma, Ryu, Ken, DJ, Ed, and Terry. 5 DLC characters in CEO 2025 to 2024's 1 DLC character. In this case, there were far more counter picks and secondaries used, with 4 character switches occurring mid-set versus CEO 2024's 2 character switches. Character choice for CEO 2025 reads as the players choosing characters more highly concentrated in the top tiers. No mention of the fact that in 2025, CEO once again became a qualifying event for Capcom Cup and Esports World Cup. That change made it an essential tournament for more top players in 2025 versus 2024. In keeping with that, 8 new countries were represented, and there was a 325% increase among Japanese players competing at CEO 2025. Some conjecture, sure, but when you've got the best players in the world vying for Capcom Cup and Esports World Cup bids, they're gonna be using the highest tier characters at the highest level, resulting in a skyrocketing degree of difficulty for CEO 2025 versus CEO 2024. Character choice and overall character balance is a huge indicator of the game's changes over the course of its lifespan, but another aspect that acts as a weather vane pointing us towards whether or not Street Fighter 6 has actually changed is drive system use. So let's look at that next. With Season 3's arrival came a major adjustment to the way that the parry mechanic works in Street Fighter 6. It was previously a catch-all technique, something you could attempt when you predicted a strike incoming and be rewarded in a huge way if you got the perfect parry, as it forces a screen freeze and gives the player performing it free reign to punish their opponent. With screen positioning, knockdowns, and drive gauge management being such important aspects of winning in Street Fighter 6, this tap your parry macro and pray style of gameplay being so heavily weighted towards the user gave players no reason not to abuse it. One successful perfect parry can be the difference between a win or a loss. So when Season 3 brought new requirements to performing a successful perfect parry, players could easily sense that the game was changing for the better. This additional condition significantly reduces the amount of random game-swaying perfect parries throughout matches. It also affects the behaviors of players and whether or not they're going to go for random parry attempts upon wake up or to interrupt block block strings. All meaningful changes celebrated by the community, but has it had an impact on high-level gameplay? What does the data suggest? As far as non-fireball parries go, CEO 2024 had 116 attempts, 20 of which were perfect parries. That's a 17% rate of success for perfect parries. Matches featuring Jack or Noah the Prodigy tended to have higher parry attempts. Matches featuring Punk or IDOM had almost no parry attempts whatsoever. CEO 2025, which had this new barrier to perform a successful perfect parry, had 107 non-fireball parry attempts and 21 successful perfect parries. Less parries overall, with a higher rate of successful perfect parries, 19%. Matches featuring Zhen had higher parry attempts, and matches featuring Punk and NL tended to have less parry attempts. Matchups and player tendencies seem to play a significant role in this number. Punk is truly all about the nooch, and even with a higher bar for perfect parries, Zhen attempts parries and gets successful perfect parries at a higher clip than the rest of his competitors. Overall, and counterintuitively, CEO 2025 had a 10% decrease in parry attempts while maintaining a higher percentage of successful perfect parries, with a 5% increase over CEO 2024. Players seem to have grown more comfortable with the kinds of offense to expect, and therefore are more practiced and more ready to perform successful parries. This degree of difficulty, while not being so great that it makes it as impressive as in Evo Moment 37, does tell me that players are improving overall. The competition is stacking up. Look at pools for any major. It passes the smell test, but the data tell the same story. Okay, drive rush is still rampant, and while I haven't chosen to focus on drive rush frequency, no changes have been made to it, so I think that it's still as abusable as ever. One thing that has changed, however, is throw loops. No change in their public perception, but the minor changes in mechanic must have had an impact in tournament, right? Let's take a look. Throw loops are probably the #1 pain point for fans, players, pro players, content creators. Your mom, your dad, they all deride throw loops. Most players hate throw loops, feel that they damage the product, feel that they damage the viewing experience, feel that they're not even fun to perform as a player. So how has Capcom gone about responding to that feedback? Season 3's balance patch came with no major changes to throw loops, opting only to adjust certain characters' throw distance and frame data, but it did introduce a change to successfully teching throws. Now, if you tech the throw as a defender, you gain 1 bar of drive gauge. Drive gauge is so important in Street Fighter 6. Therefore, aggressors have really begun to evaluate whether or not they're going to attempt a throw, right? CEO 2024 featured 250 total throw attempts. 133 were successful, 50 were teched. Additionally, we saw 32 shimmies, 22 backdashes or jumps to avoid throws, which Nephew was particularly adept at punishing back jumps with level 1, 11 reversals, be it wake up, ODDP, amnesia, or supers, and 2 of those weird throw spacing things where players both whiff their throws after drive rush or block string pressure. Jack, NL, Nephew, and Noah the Prodigy were the primary throwers. No surprise given their Shoto-esque mains and otherwise Noah the Prodigy-ness. No drive gauge gain for teching, and CEO 2024 featured rampant, unrepentant, godless throwing. Now, on to the gentleman's game of Season 3, CEO 2025. 234 throw attempts, a 6% decrease in total throws. People, we have solved throw loops. Jabali is not just the CEO of CEO, he's the CEO of saving Street Fighter. But hold on a minute. With an overall decrease in total throw attempts, we saw 137 successful throws, 46 throw techs, 18 shimmies, 20 backdashes or back jumps, 6 reversals, and 7 weird throw spacing thingies. That represents a new dominating philosophy, the likes of which we have never seen in Street Fighter. Take the throw. It represents an 8% decrease of techs, 43% decrease of shimmies, a 9% decrease of backdashes / back jumps, and almost 50% decrease of reversals, and weirdly enough, a 250% increase of the weird throw spacing thingy. That one I might chalk up to the relative closeness of the patch release to CEO 2025. Lastly, and I think most importantly, while CEO 2025 shows a 6% decrease in total throws, it also represents a 3% increase in successful throws. You're seeing less throws overall, but more of them are landing. Is NL known to be a throw merchant? The data put me on because prior I was unfamiliar with his game. Sets featuring Zhen also featured more throw attempts, which tracks given the Bison brain rot. Throws and throw loops are here to stay. But what does that mean for the ongoing story of Street Fighter 6? I still think, as many do, that Street Fighter 6 is a lovely game. Sagat looks dope. EVO 2025 is coming up. The Capcom Pro Tour is ongoing, and the newly reintroduced point system has clearly resulted in every qualifying tournament becoming a gauntlet of international talent. The players that win don't necessarily win because of throw loops. Punk won CEO 2024 while his sets with DCQ featured less throw attempts than all of the top 8. Same goes for Lashar, and in almost all of his sets throughout the top 8, he played known and hated throw terror Mai. It remains to be seen if future updates will feature major changes to the throw system in Street Fighter 6. But game-changing updates aren't unprecedented for Capcom. It does seem that the current throw system is central to the design philosophy that the developers have for Street Fighter 6. I hope this video is rendered useless in 6 months' time. I hope it's something that I can look back at and laugh and be embarrassed because I was so dreadfully wrong that throw loops wouldn't change or leave the game, but only time will tell. Do you love throw loops? Do you love perfect parries? Do you hate them? Let me know below. Thank you for taking your time out to watch this video. If you liked it, hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. And Capcom, I know you're watching. Please buff Rashid's heavy mixer.